I was open to like new people. It's the fact that when you go, like you talk to people that you don't know, and I found it very weird in the beginning because people will come up and talk to me and be like, hi, how are you? How was your day? I wasn't scared, but I was just like, it looked a bit weird. Mostly in the UK, nobody has time to talk to you or ask how your day is. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Because in developing countries, and especially in a country like Ghana, these type of organizations are what make the difference. I really enjoyed the donations when people had to come in. I couldn't understand what you were speaking because you were talking in Chi, but at least I could see happy faces when the donations were made, and that was one of the things that I really, really enjoyed.
I don't think we have foundations like this in the UK, and then to look at like how the foundation tries to show people like what Ghana's struggling with and how you're trying to help the donations, etc. I felt like it was quite impressive. It hit home. It was kind, caring, and everyone who was very passionate about what they do.
You were a law student, you've had a little bit of experience with Ghana's criminal justice system. You've been to the police station. What did you see that surprised you a bit?
I think that's probably the place here that I was most shocked at. I was shocked.
When we went to the police department, the cells there were, I don't want to say inhumane, because that may be a bit too much, but I was at least expecting a bench, and there was nothing in there, especially the men's cells. It was very dirty.
In the UK, we don't beat pawns unless there is an accident, whereas here everybody talks to each other with thieves. Okay,
in the UK, it's all over the place, wherever you go. Driver need be quiet, so then it's enjoyment. It's seen as enjoyment.
When I arrived at the airport and the car would like beat to talk to another driver, I was like, and then I realised it was common and that everybody did it. I was like, okay, so that's like a norm for you, and obviously it's different to us. It was nice to experience that different.
Ghana man, me just some air bremo. Mina Breast Cancer Foundation say, or the free breast screening. Me say, free breast screening. Some way ejumekuo, some way ejedi forma, and I say a crew. The Muhian say, mobile friend numbers way 0246 915113 and 0246 963218. Dear Muhian say, Mube Buamo Huano, no more fraying, no more tray, say, Yaya Cradua Mammo, Mumra, no more tray, a quaya, a befaso ashay no for ye. Na ye ria, yes, I screening more breast no amamo, a ye free. Umpewe now pedien.
Emprepi no ye bokaswa. Adwen ba komienu ne ba ya adwen efin wo ho basa wo ho baby a eni etai kosi eye kaswa overhead arahosem ewo mu ne se baby bebre no a ejina makaswa no enipa pii kran ko hoda kaswa efe ankasa monhwe sede asase da ho fe menye sure se enkran ha baby efe etise wo awan ye lucky a won nim Sadia Kaswa baby bebre efe no won efom ensase no wan hwa unyabi asase kwa na ekwa ekyire sisi aye kase from Kaswa to Winneba ensase ewo ho nyina enkrofo afom enkran kwa na ekwa ekyire ada na won kan ho na won beto asase ewo ejare real estate baby a efe baby a to asase a na wotwe miensa na wonkrata aba baby a oto asase a landguard eni ho baby a oto asase a obia no metwemanson enne abrochefuo pii suro ne se won beto asase enso ejare real estate ene crime check foundation ka won akabom a won eboa manipa nyansa asente no enne obia eto asase a onwe ho mienu ka wo ho na betobi wanhwe yi a ebesam wako echichichichichichichi ansa no wanya asase
na me say mabaka so ba. Nso na minim se baby a FSA ewo ho. Na ade ba ko ne se Crime Check Foundation die. Bibi enye papa no. Yemfa ye hunyim. Hwemachi ase ye we Dream Mountains. Kan hwan ne beje wo die efisa view ni ye crazy and beautiful.
You're welcome to Crime Check Foundation. We have a collaboration with Arms Around the Child. Arms Around the Child is a UK charity. They worked closely with the late Christian Achu, may his soul rest in peace. And we have a collaboration where interns come to our facility, come to learn a lot about Ghana's criminal justice system, to learn generally about Ghana. We are lucky to have one of them with us, Diala, who currently lives in the UK, to share some of her experiences with us. She's been here for almost 3 weeks, and then she'll be leaving us soon. Diala, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, first tell me your impressions about Ghana. I'm sure this is the first time you're coming to Ghana.
Yes.
What have you observed?
Well, in the beginning it was hard because it was a completely different reality from what I had seen. I come from a third world country as well because I'm from Albania and I had lived there. And the differences were huge. Okay. And in the beginning, it was not what I expected. It was a bit worse than I expected, to be honest. But overall, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, before we go into the enjoyment, you said initially it was difficult. Did you have any information about Ghana before coming to Ghana? Was there anything that scared you initially?
Not really. I mean, I did have some information, but I was coming with an open mind in the sense of like whatever it is, I can live with it. It wasn't going to be the end of the world, and because I think my shock was because as I came as an optimist and I was expecting it, but it was a bit too much than I expected.
So that is what I want to know. What were the negatives? What shocked you initially?
The first thing that shocked me was infrastructure. It is completely different from Albania and UK. Like I've tried to make the comparison with Albania like 10 years ago, but with the UK I don't think there's any comparison.
I think it will be foolhardiness to compare infrastructure in Ghana to that of the UK, but tell us a comparison. What did you see?
The buildings, they were much shorter.
Shorter?
Yeah, some of them were also not fully developed, as I may say, or fully built. Most of them weren't fully built. The roads, they weren't in good conditions. A lot of they just weren't as good.
Yeah, just as you said, so that wouldn't be surprising because you live in the UK. Let's go back to your country, Albania. What are the similarities and differences?
Similarities would be buildings, in the sense of in villages. The buildings are kind of the same. Like there are a lot of there are a lot of not fully built buildings and also short buildings and everything. And also with roads, like in deep villages, let's say, the roads are very similar
to that of Ghana.
Yes, there's not a lot of infrastructure there. But as I mentioned before, I made the comparison of Albania 10 years ago with Ghana now. So like when I first saw it, I was like, I remember this picture not clearly, and then I consulted with my mother.
Yeah, so it means that for the past 10 years, you've not been to Albania. No, so the comparison, have you been to Albania? So would you say there isn't much difference in terms of infrastructure between Ghana and Albania?
No, currently there is, because Albania had a big boom, let's say, had a big development, and now it's I wouldn't say fully developed, but especially the capital is it a developing country, a developed country, Albania? Because Ghana is a developing country. Yeah, but in terms of development, you rate Albania a bit higher than Ghana. Is that what you are saying? Okay, just as I said, I think it will be foolhardiness to compare infrastructure in Ghana to that of the UK. Eventually, you have been here for, I think, about 3 weeks or a month or so. What has surprised you? You had a negative perception before coming, perhaps? I didn't have a perception at all. As I mentioned, I came with an open mind and I was prepared to expect anything.
Okay.
So it's not that I had, I wasn't biased. Let's say when I first came, I was open to like new people, new experiences, new food and everything. So I wouldn't say that I had negative.
Any cultural shocks?
One cultural shock, not fully, but it's the fact that when you go, like, you talk to people that you don't know. It used to be like that in Albania. Now it's not. And in the UK, it's definitely not there. And I found it very weird in the beginning, because people will come up and talk to me and be like, hi, how are you? How was your day? And I wasn't scared, but I was just like, it looked a bit weird to me.
Why did it look a bit weird? Because if you have people come to you in a friendly manner, ask how you are doing and so on and so forth, you should be happy. So why was it weird to you?
Because mostly in the UK, basic that I've been living there for the past 4 years, so mostly in the UK nobody has time to talk to you or ask how your day is, and the people that come and talk to you, they have an interest, in the sense of like they're talking to you for a reason, not just to be nice or not just to know how your day was.
So you've been amazed with the Ghanaian hospitality?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what other things can you share with us?
People being nice was one of the most things, not that I wasn't shocked, but that I wasn't expecting. And also, I would say food is completely different from what
How different?
Completely in the sense of like the dishes and also the spices. It's interesting, they're interesting, but it was a bit hard in the beginning to adjust to it.
So eventually you've been able to assimilate.
Yes.
Right. If anybody were to ask you about Ghana, what would you tell them briefly?
There is a lot of room for development and for improvement, but I do believe that it's a beautiful country, and I do believe that the country is made up of the people rather than the places. And considering that the people have been, to me personally, have been very nice, very helpful and everything, I would say that it's a beautiful country.
Right.
There is a lot of room for development, but it's a beautiful country.
You had a bit of prison experience. I don't know whether I've been to prisons in the UK or Albania, I'm not so sure. What shocked you?
When we went to the police department, the cells there were, I don't want to say inhumane, because that may be a bit too much, but I was at least expecting a bench, and there was nothing in there, especially the men's cells. It was very dirty, no light, nearly no light, and you could not, there was no place to sit or lay down, nothing. The women's cell was a bit better, but still, it was in a great condition. And prisons, the Awutuka?
Oh yeah, Awutuka.
I really enjoyed that, because I think it didn't feel like a prison at all.
Because it's an open camp prison.
It didn't feel like a prison at all, and it was very welcoming. Also the officer was very welcoming. Okay. And when we went to, I don't remember, Winneba, there I was a bit stepped back, not because of the building, but because when I saw the prisoners, they were a lot at once, in the sense of like there were a lot of prisoners in there, and that's what I was like, oh, okay. But I also saw, you showed us a documentary about the bathrooms.
You've had the opportunity of working with Crime Check Foundation. You've been indoors. What did you experience? I
really appreciate the work that you're doing, because in developing countries, and especially in a country like Ghana, these type of places, of organizations, are what make the difference. And I really, it might sound weird, but I really enjoyed the donations. When people had to come in, I couldn't understand what you were speaking because you were talking in Chi, but at least I could see, like I was seeing a different reality, and I was seeing happy faces when the donations were made, and that was one of the things that I really enjoyed with the Crime Check Foundation.
Thank you. What fond memories are you taking back home?
The donations, first of all. Probably the beach. I have a lot of memories, and I will take all of them with me. But I just want to like make them somewhat more specific, so I can tell them to people.
So, would you recommend Africa? Would you recommend Ghana to many people who may not have had the opportunity of visiting, who would want to explore?
Definitely, definitely.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that was Diala. We have another intern who is also going to work in here. She sounds too British. Okasa, you're going to talk to her. Yo, Minuanum, and they are semper bin ebremo, and the Destiny Roofing and Steel Trusses was a so peso bow daiswa. Mempuputi, one ewa homamo. Nanchance, no, one and one chow dear. So pursue you that dear, so pursue you in ria. One dear near Tatashi. Namuntiaway, one you on who didn't know. So once one bow daiswa, almost mouth 30 years warranty. Umpewe now per day. So we had Destiny Roofing. Men kwetri ube home wa Ablekuma Canada ewo Pokuase ekwan no so ha one telephone numbers here 0244 290 804 and 0302 907 301 omo email enso na wo ho no Fred Destiny Roofing and Steel Trusses na udan se bohaw esubetwa. Ati for na baba baby for Paradise Inn. I hire baby a efe ankasa. So nim old Botiana. Your baby Ayalolo. Bojo Beach ne Ayalolo. Emu ntwe kra. Just about 300 to 400 meters. Na aha na Paradise Inn. Ewo. Baby a say dem hu no. Efe yi ankasa. Ewo sea view area. Nti se wo show dem a na wo hwe epo no. Na mframa papa bi ebofa ho a. Na o san hwe sharks a APA free epum no masan udram eye baby a efe eye ahomeka. Paradise Inn 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, short stay bi a ope baby atena. I say Airbnb fra brochaba na wo pe baby atena ubenya baby atena ama oho ato ankasa nti se me kasa haifa na mpa mabaha menim se de hatie baby abe park o car kra de ehunye den kra se car mienu se car miensa se car enai. Paradise Inn ebe ma baby a park security so de 100%. O ma Paradise Inn na obibi ayira ana bibi ato eno eni hokra. So what Paradise Inn na opese upie kakra ubenya beaches a efe beaches a ahoye clean upia just about 200 meters na wodi ho kan ho na bera Paradise Inn na nkrofo anje anjawo wa her said ha efe e won kitchen e won bedrooms e won toilets efe aha 2 bedroom aha fankasa yanko inside me enhwe de wo so opese on Paradise Inn ekasa free number C. So just as I said, this is Jody. She is British, so she's going to sound British. At a point, you may have to strain your ears to hear what she is saying. You're welcome, Jody.
Thank you.
Yeah, so did you have any information about Ghana before coming in?
No, I didn't know anything about Ghana. I went on the internet to look at some of the places that were here, and I spoke to Moses, and Moses told me a lot about what we can do here and what we'd be doing with Crime Check. Right.
So basically, I forgot to tell you, Jody is a law student in the UK. She's been asking lots of questions about Ghana's criminal justice system. She's had opportunity to visit a prison, to visit a police station. So Jody has a wealth of experiences that she eventually would share with us. But let me ask her 1 or 2 questions about her general impressions about Ghana. This is the first time you are visiting. What has been your impression so far?
It's very, very different from the UK, but it's nice to experience a different culture and the way that other people live. It makes me understand, obviously, how different parts of the world deal with crime. And yeah, it's been very nice to learn new things, new experiences, challenges. It's been a lot of learning.
Right. Any cultural shock so far?
Obviously, as you mentioned, the men talk to the women a bit differently here than we would in the UK. There was the beeping with the cars, how they communicate. Obviously in the UK...
No, I didn't get that. The beeping, the cars... Is it a bit of a shock? What exactly are you referring to?
So obviously in the UK, we don't beep horns unless there is an accident, whereas here everybody talks to each other with beeps. Okay,
in the UK, it's all over the place wherever you go. Driver need be quiet me so then it's enjoyment. It's seen as enjoyment. You know. Was that shocking to you?
Yes, I remember when I arrived at the airport and the car had like beeped to talk to another driver. I was like, and then I realised it was common and that everybody did it. I was like, okay, so that's like a norm for you, and obviously it's different to us. It was nice to experience that difference.
Right. Were you frightened initially? Someone was going to be arrested or something?
I was a bit worried. I was like, why is he beeping? Like, what's happened? And then when I realised that everyone did it, I was like, oh.
Yeah. What again, did you find a bit surprising culturally?
Yes, obviously everybody's very friendly here. Everybody talks to each other. And when they walk down the street and they're like, hello, like, how are you? I'm like, sorry, are you talking to me? Whereas in the UK, everyone just does their own thing. So it was very surprising, but it was nice. It felt comforting that everybody was there to talk to you and that they were interested in you, obviously being from another country, and everyone's interested to ask you about it.
Right, I don't want to talk about infrastructure because I guess the difference is between night and day, Ghana and the UK. You were a law student, you've had a little bit of experience with Ghana's criminal justice system. You've been to the police station. What did you see that surprised you a bit?
Police station was, I think that's probably the place here that I was most shocked at. I didn't think he was going to show us the cells, to be honest, and when he did, I was shocked. There was nothing in there. There was not even a bench. It was rubbish and it smelled a bit odd. And it wasn't very clean, whereas the women's was also, it was cleaner but it was smaller. Because obviously, as you say, women don't commit as many crimes. But and the police station in itself was very small. I thought that was quite different. Yes.
You also visited, I think, 2 prisons, or is it 1 prison so far?
1 prison so far, 1 tomorrow.
Whenever.
Yes.
Okay. What did you observe that may have surprised you?
There was a lot of things in the prison. So the man's office was right next to the prison, so he personally, as the owner of the prison, could watch over the prisoners. And I thought that was quite interesting. It's very impressive as well, whereas in the UK, the prisoners would have just smashed the window by now, but clearly they have respect for the officer and they don't even take notice that he's there. They're respectful. And also it was a very close-fitted area. And also they're allowed out whenever they want into the open air, the open space. I thought that's what quite impressed me, because obviously in the UK we don't do that.
I have been shocked by the revelation you made that in the UK they would have smashed the window or something.
Definitely.
Is that what they do?
Yes. If there was, like, in the prison, it's all close together, and then outside the door, that's when you have like the offices and everything. They can't be close to the prisoners because prisoners in our country, they're very aggressive, they're always angry and stuff. Whereas when I looked at these prisoners, they were quite calm. Like, I didn't see anybody arguing or anything, everyone was doing their own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a very small space.
Right. You shouldn't be surprised because our prisons are congested. You also had opportunity to visit the courts.
Yes.
And I understand that you were struggling hearing what they were talking about.
Yeah.
But generally, was there a bit of a shock as well there?
Yes. So I observed that as the individuals that came in to be tried, they had to stand, whereas in the UK obviously they'd have a seat. So I noticed that they had to stand throughout their trial, but the trials, they're not very long. The trials that we saw were probably like half an hour to the point. I also found it interesting how there was a table of individuals, lawyers around, but there wasn't any jury to also decide their input. It's also interesting that anybody can go into the courts and watch these. I found that quite interesting.
Right.
Yes.
Food?
Yeah, I would say the food's been quite nice. There's still foods that I want to try. But it's been nice, like I tried the coconut, I've tried plantain, I've tried like many things.
Did you try fufu?
No, I haven't tried that.
Not yet.
I tried jollof, I like that.
Okay, so jollof, how was it like? Ghana jollof is all over the place.
It was really nice, but it was spicy. I wasn't expecting such a kick, and I tried it. I was like, oh, it's spicy.
Okay.
But it was really nice. It's nice to try the different foods. Obviously, it's very different from the UK.
Okay. Do you have a same in the UK, jollof? It may, the name obviously is different, but in terms of taste, how different is the Ghana jollof from the UK jollof? Never
tried jollof in the UK, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have the equivalent of jollof in the UK?
Not that I know of. I've never saw it in any restaurants.
Okay.
But
what really impressed you, apart from the hospitality of the people?
I'm sure it's probably going to be the police station, but also the legal aid commissioner that we spoke to.
Okay.
He gave us so much detail into the whole criminal justice system, how it works, how he works. I think him, over the whole experience, he gave me so much knowledge that I can take back to the UK.
Okay.
And it's made me kind of want to get a passion to tell other people about the struggles that Ghana are facing, because personally before I came here I didn't know, and obviously I didn't know that it was a poverty-run country. So coming here I've learned a lot, and I feel like I want to take my learnings and spread them across other people.
Right. Your experience working with Crime Check, what did you learn? What did you see? What surprised you?
I don't think we have foundations like this in the UK, and then to look at like how the foundation tries to show people like what Ghana's struggling with and how you were trying to help, the donations, etc. I felt like it was quite impressive. It hit home. It was kind, caring, and everyone here is very passionate about what they do.
Right. Would you recommend Ghana to people in the UK, people in other countries that you come across?
Yes, I would definitely, and I would come back here again myself.
Sure.
I still feel like, obviously I've only spent 2 weeks here, I feel like there's so much more that I could have done and I still want to do. So I would definitely come back again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice working with you. Okay, so you heard Jody. She's had a wonderful working experience here at Crime Check Foundation. She's also had opportunity to visit places. This interview is important because of the perceptions that people usually have about Africa. It's important that we tell the African story, but also give people the opportunity to tell it the way it is. She has experienced it, said it the way it is, and then it is not all that negative. We all have a responsibility to make Ghana a better place to live in. I want to thank you very much. Judy, thank you once again.
Thank you.